to a show.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Off the Mats podcast. I'm so sorry I sound this way. It's been a long day. I had an unnecessary meeting at work and I'm hungry as hell. So I might sound a little crabby. I do apologize in advance, but you know what? I have a great guest today and they tend to cheer me up and keep me from being so crabby. One of my meme sharers. We share memes to each other on the daily. So I'm happy to have that kind of friendship. So I want to welcome back to the podcast, actually, from it's been a little over a year now since we last talked on here, at least. Miss Tracy Frances. Hi, Tracy. Welcome back.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I am doing swell. Just
Besides
hungry.
the fact that you're hungry.
Like I haven't been this hungry in a long time, it's confusing. I'm like, oh my God, what is going on? So I'll be all right.
Yeah, you're not even hungry. You're actually hangry at this point. So
yeah, like my daughter was down here. Can I go on the treadmill and play? It was like, girl, this is not a fucking gymnasium. I guess there is gym equipment down here. like no, go upstairs. Like, okay, you want to play Nintendo Switch? Like, yeah, I do actually, but I just really want to eat. I don't know, a chicken fajita. Like, I'm just hungry. But anyhow, how in the hell have you been, my friend?
Oh my gosh, it's been, well, like you said, it's been a while. I think it was like last July or something like that was the last time we talked. Yeah. So holy moly, lots been going on. A lot of life changes, a lot of jiu-jitsu changes, a lot of Tracy changes. So but yeah, it's been going. So
well, change isn't necessarily a bad thing, though. Sometimes change is necessary, sometimes change is therapeutic. Change, has its benefits, but you're still training, so that's a huge key there.
yeah, absolutely. So I definitely believe that everything we go through brings us to where we're supposed to be at this exact moment. And even though sometimes you're like, what the fuck is going on? You still, you end up where you're supposed to be. So, and that's kind of where I feel like I'm at right now. So,
well, good. And I don't know. I feel like last time we talked, you were still a white belt, but since then, at the very least, you have been promoted up to blue belt. So congrats on that.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, so I got promoted. Yeah, I'm a blue belt now. So for all of the listeners out there who are wondering if they're going to stay a white belt forever, no. Hard work, dedication, perseverance, all that stuff, it does pay off. So hang in there.
Absolutely. And out there competing and racking up medals and things and just, being a complete badass. So
I'm trying. I mean, so the last time that we spoke, I was fixing to do, I think it was Chicago Open. So I did get a gold medal at Chicago Open. And then a whole bunch of stuff kind of went a little nuts. So right before Jiu-Jitsu Con last year, which is what would have done it as a white belt, I got my MCL shredded into a million pieces at training. So instead of competing there in Vegas, I got to listen to myself be DQ'd over the intercom on flow grappling. So that was great. But yeah, so obviously, not ideal having a major injury like that. I had to have a full reconstruction with 2 cadaver grafts and a significant amount of rehab and all that's associated with that. So never had surgery in my life. Never really want to do it again. It was not a great experience, but what ended up being a really great experience was bouncing back from it. So I think that it's important for people to know that if you do suffer a training injury or something like that, it can be extremely devastating, but knowing that you can actually get through it and, make it out to the other side and learn a whole lot about yourself in the process is, like I said, everything happens for a reason. And I didn't really think that I was gonna make it through that at the beginning. I was like, oh, this is it. Cool. I'm a white belt and there's my career, done. But that's not what happened. That's not what happened at all. I was I immediately got into PT and I started, just working really hard at it, dealing with the pain. Uh, a lot of the listeners, I'm sure, and a lot of people who follow me too know that I do have chronic Lyme disease. So I've already, dealt with a lot of things associated with my chronic illness, and pain was one of the biggest ones. And so my pain tolerance is, pretty ridiculous. Like the average human would be, not able to function, whereas that's what I just deal with on a daily basis. So the pain associated with the surgery recovery was just like another day to me. I hate to say it like that because it's kind of fucked up, but at the same time, it's just, that's just how it was. So yeah, but put in the work, and I was a psychopath. I was back on the mats in 9 weeks. Not in any sort of like actual like hard training capacity or anything like that, but I mean I had a big brace on, but I was there, so I showed up. I was even there when I couldn't, but as soon as the big brace came off and the smaller brace allowed me to fit some gi pants over it, I was back at training. So yeah.
Well, good. It's funny because when you mentioned, you never had surgery before, I don't know. I always feel like when, I talk to people in jiu-jitsu, it's always in my mind like, oh yeah, we've been through tons of surgeries. That's just what we do. It's part of our game. But also, still being relatively early in the game is like, well, I guess you know, get that hopefully never again you have to do it, but you get that out off the board now. But
Yeah.
um,
Check that box.
I'm glad yeah, check that box right there. All right. First injury,
Yeah.
uh,
Yeah.
and some folks, they get an injury per belt, and it's like, dude, chill. It's
Wow.
like
Ugh.
they're not Pokemon.
No, I mean, like that's definitely a joke for me at this point. I'm like, I feel like I have, the injuries of a brown belt. So, yay.
Well, I mean, you hit the mats hard, so I
Yes.
think that's one of the things to it though, as well as you know, you're in it. You're not like, like, oh, you touch the mat and you're just like, okay, I'm just gonna, do these little things over here. No, like you're like, hey, which one of y'all motherfuckers want to fight? It's
Yeah.
like, damn,
Yeah.
Tracy, relax.
Well, I mean, yeah, I do. I like to go hard. I like to train hard, and it was, you know, when that happened, I wasn't, I was still kind of like in my head thinking like, oh, I'm just like a little baby white belt, even though like I'd, traveled the world competing at that point. Like I was doing it like almost every weekend, like, but in my head, I'm just like, oh, this is, just a little thing. But no, the reality of it is it completely took over my life, and I'm so happy about it, and I wouldn't have it any other way. But yeah, I mean, when you're a big strong girl, which I am, I fight at heavyweight, and I, power lift. I do all sorts of extra training stuff, obviously, pole dancing and stuff that adds to my strength. But when you're a big strong girl in this sport, it can be a little difficult sometimes, to just make sure that you're in the right environment with the right training partners. And, I don't blame anybody for, what happened to me. Obviously, it was a complete accident, but at the same time, it's like, there's some things that can be done to just like look out for yourself and look out for others. And
Well,
I think that ultimately it was a good thing, to have to do. So
it's, even though, accidents happen, I mean, more often than not, in a lot of cases, not all cases, but, it's like just trying to, as you have your training partners and everything, it is always important to, try to, you know, make sure to, accidents are kept to a minimum. And, I'm not saying, like this is like an all the time thing for you or anything, with the gym, but, it is one of those things when you think about accidents, it's like, when you're doing anything, whether it be dealing with your shoulder or dealing with your knees or neck for that matter, or, it's like, training partners, like, just like being aware of, what you're doing. Just like I get nervous myself when I'm training with certain people, and I'm a big boy, I'm no little fella, I'm in those 200 ranges, when I'm rolling with somebody in the, like the 170, 150 range, I'm concerned about, dropping, just falling, like losing my balance or some shit. And it's like, oh my God, I don't want to break this person's body in half. Like,
Yeah. I mean,
just,
there's a fine line between training hard and just, going insane. And, I guess like my takeaway from that would be like, especially to all the women out there, maybe don't drill takedowns with like a 300-pound 6'5" white belt guy. Don't do that. That'd be my
yeah.
suggestion. So, but I mean, to this day, like I still I still get nervous a little bit when I am training, takedowns with everybody. Even though, obviously I feel completely safe and everybody treats me really well and they know, what I went through and everything. But like I tell everyone, like if you're a dude, like I don't care if I'm a big strong girl. It takes maybe it would take you 5% to put me on the ground. 5. You don't gotta go 100 or even close to that. So.
Very true.
Yeah.
Well, I think, to some extent though, it's like, especially doing takedowns, it's just being aware. And, and maybe I drill too soft. I don't know. When I'm doing takedowns, I execute the move, but as I'm, running my feet,
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, I picked them up and kind of lower them to the ground. I'm not trying to put you through.
Yeah, just gently set me down on the ground. Like I did the same thing. Like I'll go for it and then I'll pick you up and I'll just like set you down like I'm putting you to bed. So it feels a lot nicer that way.
I think it's under the ideal too of like, I go through the moves, like, I got you. I got you.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like you wasn't gonna stop that takedown. No, I'm just gonna lower you down. But then again, there are probably people listening like, "Shut up, pussy!" Like you fucking draw that takedown, you fucking put their asses through the mat, and I'm like, God damn.
Yeah, you can save that maybe for like a like a competition, like do for like your local competition with the prison rules. Do that then. There's no medals in training, and I think that a lot of people tend to forget that. But yeah, you can go hard, but don't you don't need to rip somebody apart. Like save that for the tournament if you need to. Even then, but. That might be more of a female perspective. We I'm master 2 now, and I'm like friends with all of the girls that I fight against, and we're all just because a lot of them are like moms and stuff, and we got to take care of each other. There's not that many of us in the sport to begin with, so let's not break each other, so.
Yeah, it's like you break your toys, you don't have anything to play with, especially in your position as a female competitor, because like you said, there's not a lot of you out there, so. You gotta be cautious, with what you're doing with your folks out there on the competition trail as well. So
yeah. So and everybody has a different mentality, when it comes to competing. I just know that for me and for a lot of the women that I know, like we really want to take care of each other even there, even when it's when you're going 100%, it's still like you're not gonna like rip an arm bar on somebody. You're not gonna like rip their arm off. Whereas there's plenty of guys I know that'd be like, oh yeah, I'm taking their arm home with me. I'm like, okay, you do you, but I'm not gonna do that to her. So
it's like that motherfucker got to go to work on Monday, right?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So yeah.
So, but I mean, there are some folks, there are the folks out there that this is work for them though. So, there's that line where it's like, you don't want to injure anyone so they can't continue to compete. But also, even if this isn't work and they got a, regular 40-hour a week job that they got to return to on Monday, Also, hey man, maybe don't, rip a hill hook.
Yeah,
If they're like a surveyor, they got to walk a lot. So
yeah,
maybe, just maybe, let them know, hey buddy, I got you. Now, if they refuse to tap,
yeah,
while you're slowly cranking, it's like, oh,
yeah,
look, okay, you clearly don't care about your job. I'm taking your
yeah.
leg with me.
Well, yeah, there's your ego, and you can carry that with you in a backpack and your crutches on Monday. So there you go. But yeah, so it's just really important, take care of your training partners,
Yeah.
women and smaller men, please, be careful who you train with. Don't be afraid to say no. I've learned, like I said, I've learned a lot from this. So I have no problem telling people no now, or like if they come at me with a certain kind of energy, I will, and I've done it before. I'll say, hey, calm the fuck down, take a breath. We're just learning, please.
Yeah.
So, and I jokingly start every roll with "please don't hurt me." Now, every time I train with a white belt that I've never seen before, but I'm only half joking. They're like, "Do you even know what that means?" But I'll tell them. I know how to stand up for myself now, and I'll never make a mistake like that again. So, because I take partial responsibility for what happened with it. I should have never done that to begin with. So,
Well, I mean, it. That's the thing too. It's just, like, so you're not placing blame on anyone. I think that's important too, because sure, it may have been avoidable, but also understanding, the situation you're in. I always tell people when they do like bump me or something, or, I get punched in the face a lot. I think most of us do, but I
yeah.
feel like I get punched in the face more than most people. Now, I wonder if I have a punchable face. It's like people look at me like, hit that dude. But there's apologies. People are like, oh my god, I'm so sorry. I'm like, dude, I signed that waiver. I know what I was getting into. You know,
Yeah.
so
Well, I
there's
mean,
that.
when that stuff happens, it's usually an accident. So, I mean, I think within my first three, or I'm sorry, my first 2 weeks of training jujitsu, like at all, period, like as a brand new white belt, I handed out three black eyes to people. And I'm just like, I remember sitting in my car just crying, being like, nobody's gonna want to train with me. I keep giving them black eyes. It's literally like in my car crying in the same breath. I'm just like, I fucking love this. Like I'm addicted to this. I can't wait to come back. I just hope I stop throwing elbows.
I think I punched a teammate over the weekend. Now that I
Did
think about it,
you?
it
Yeah.
um one of our brown belts, he and I are rolling. I don't remember what happened, but like whatever ended up happening, I moved my arm and I hit him. I was like, "Oh shit, my bad, dude." He was like, "No, we're good." It was like, and in my mind, I was like, "I mean, I know we're good, but it's like it's still just a habit of apologizing. I just like
Yeah.
uppercut you. That's not okay." I was like,
Yeah.
"It's fine.
Yep.
Just keep rolling." But I would say the same thing. If I got clocked in the face, I'm like, just keep going, keep going. Do not stop. We got momentum right now. So
Yeah.
I get
Yeah.
it.
I mean, if they stop, then I'm like, oh my god, this is really bad. But like for me, like when I get clocked in the face, like everybody, like especially the guys are like, oh my god, I'm so sorry. And I just joke, I'm just like, I got a date tonight, and I think it'd be hilarious to have to explain my black eyes. So, yep.
I had a teammate. We were both white belts at the time, and I kneed her in the eye. And she had graduation the next week. So yeah, that was we're good friends now, and we always, whenever she's there, we do train. We train together, we drill together. But I will never forget when I caught her with that knee in the eye. I thought I killed her. Like the way she flopped over, I was like, "Oh my lord!" And she was dating one of the guys at the time, and I look over at him like, "Oh shit, hey man!" Like I ran over to her and started hugging her, like, "Oh my god, I'm so sorry. You okay?"
Yeah.
It was a whole fucking production, and she was fine. But in my mind, I
And
was like,
her boyfriend
"Jesus
was right
Christ!"
there.
Yeah,
That's great. Yeah, no.
like he's a good dude, and he was just like, no, like, no, like you stop beating yourself up. Like it's fine.
Yeah.
Like they're
Yeah.
both like, it's okay. I
Yeah.
didn't think it was.
I think I showed up to two different dates over the summer with with black eyes, and so I just always think it's hilarious. So preemptively text them and be like, just so you know, you might have some
I'm not a
explaining to
battered
do.
woman.
You're no, I'm always like, you are gonna get some dirty looks. So if you choose to date me, be prepared to get looked at some kind of way, because sometimes I get, little boo boos.
It's like, look, I signed a waiver. Like, what the fuck does that mean?
Yeah,
Like, it's just part of the game. It's part of our
part of the
sports.
game. Yeah, so but
But,
yeah, I've so yeah, we did I did all the rehab, for the MCL reconstruction. It was back on the mats training. And then in March, my first competition back after all that nonsense was PANS. So I was really excited to do it. Definitely a little bit concerned. Looking back on it, probably wasn't the best idea because I feel like my knee was only at about like 70%. But I was like, you know what? I I train so hard, and I'm feeling good with my roles in training. Let me go do this. If I get re-injured, I get re-injured. But I I just decided that I was gonna do it. And so there I was at PANS. I won my first match, which was it was a little extra satisfying to win that match, because it was against a girl who I love dearly, by the way. I'll just throw that out there. But she beat me at my first competition ever, which was at the Indianapolis Open, the year prior, or what was that, like, yeah, 22. Yeah. So she had beat me there, and so I won my first match against her, and then I pretty quickly lost my second match because I left my arm hanging out. But sometimes it
oh,
happens like that. So, but yeah, taking silver at PANS for my first competition back after such a major injury was very satisfying. It felt wonderful. So.
good, good. How are you feeling? Like, how's the knee and everything feeling now for you?
Yeah, so this is my first winter post-op, and that's been interesting because, for those of you out there who don't know, I live and train outside of Chicago, and the cold weather hit me like a ton of bricks. I was like, what is going on with my knee? Why does my knee hurt so bad? Did I hurt it again? Like, I started freaking out, and everybody was just like, no, it's gonna be like that. It's a previous injury. The cold weather
Oh,
doesn't help, and I didn't know what that meant. So, yeah, it's not been, the best thing to have to experience. But I also know that I mean, Jesus, this was like when was that surgery? It was September of 22. So, I'm a significant amount of time past that. I'm fully rehabbed at this point. And it's just like a mental thing that I think I might just always have to deal with, is like, oh, is there something wrong with my knee again? And that's also me, being a little bit the Lulu, because there's definitely been some additional, knee pops and stuff like that have happened, with like my
sure.
LCL and stuff. But I'm just gonna look the other way. So, like we always do. It's not an injury. This is nothing. See you tomorrow. Be back on the mat tomorrow.
Sometimes it gets scary like that, though. You're like, am I
Mhm.
going to be okay? And you're like, I'll be all right.
Yeah, no,
Like,
this is
you-
fine. This is totally fine. Not me wearing, like, what do I train with and compete with? I have like knee sleeves covered with like another sleeve that's like a softer. I'm just like, I might as well just like completely constrict all the blood flow to my feet with these
it's like,
braces. But it
it,
makes me feel better. So,
sometimes that's what it takes, though. Like,
yeah.
sometimes I wear a shoulder brace. It's doing nothing for me, like physically, but mentally, I'm like, oh yeah,
Yeah.
this is great. My shoulders trash right now. This thing is
Oh, no.
so not useful anymore. But I put that brace on, I feel invincible. Meanwhile, the brace is
Invincible.
doing nothing.
Yep, exactly.
Like,
Yeah, like, I don't know. Just it makes
I'm
me
gonna
feel
go
better. So
bench press.
yeah, exactly. Shit. So yeah, but yeah. So I mean, it feels fine. Like, I'm fine. I've competed
Good.
since, and just trained hard and doing all that. So yeah, but um, after Pans, I actually made like a huge choice that had kind of been weighing on my mind for quite some time, and I ended up switching to a new academy. So that was probably one of the hardest things I've ever, chosen to do. But I just, felt like I had reached a point um, where I had done as much growing as I thought I could do, where I was, and
Sure.
it was time to make a switch. So I now am proudly part of TAC team, and I train at New Breed Training Center in Niles, Illinois, and under Mark Vives, and he is a very active competitor. I think he's still ranked number one in his division, number three in all divisions for Master of Four. He's a third degree black belt. Great guy, fantastic coach, incredible competitor. Just all around, the kind of environment that I kind of wanted to be in. And I had started cross training there in like May of 22, off and on, up until my injury. And then, when I went back, I didn't end up going back there. I went back to my first academy, and just after Pans, I had seen him down there, and I talked to him, and I just decided that it was time to make a switch. So yeah, so now I'm there, and I've never looked back, and I'm just extremely happy and extremely grateful for the type of environment that he provides there at the gym for all of us, especially for women. I mean, we have I don't even know how many girls train there, but like we're constantly like there's constantly women there, and it feels so good to have that. Obviously, I like training with men because when I'm training with a 200-pound guy and I turn around and compete against a 175-pound girl, it just feels like a feather. So but there's so many people there. I have so many training partners now. I don't even know how many exactly he has, but I feel like there's over 50 black belts that he's promoted, and just everybody from like just such wonderful people. I get to train with such great, wonderful competitors and hobbyists and friends, and men, women, like everybody. And it's just such a welcoming, warm, safe place to be. And it's like, you don't. I didn't realize that like I wasn't home until I got home, if that made sense. So
Sure.
yeah, and this is definitely my home. I feel like this is gonna be my forever home, and I want it to be. Yeah.
Well, that's good. I'm glad that you have that experience, because it's important to know, when you're somewhere and you're like, well, look, I think I've gotten what I needed from here. I don't see any further growth for me in this scenery. So now you go somewhere else, and it's like, okay, now there's more development, and like you said, you feel at home. And I think that's just the most important thing, is feeling at home.
Yeah. And it wasn't like, it was extremely difficult for me to leave, at least a good handful of people, at the other academy. That's one of the hardest things that, that a lot of people don't really talk about is the emotional attachment that you get to the people and the place, especially where it's like for something for me specifically, it was really hard because jujitsu, I know that everyone's like, oh, it's so cliche, but jujitsu did save my life in so many ways. I was recovering from, this illness that almost killed me, and I found jujitsu, and through jujitsu, I've actually been able to heal my brain, like the neural connections with my muscles that I couldn't walk before, and so like associating that with like the particular place where I first started, and then the people who were around me through that journey and like saw me go from like, just still needing to have a cane in my car occasionally to becoming like an active competitor, traveling the world and doing all this stuff. Like it's hard to want to leave that, but you know, um I'm so grateful, for everybody who played a role in my journey, at my first academy, and it was really hard to leave everybody, but at the same time, like I knew that like something was missing, that I needed to do something more and train with like that level, the level of people that train there. I mean, we've got dozens of competitors. Like I don't even know what the actual number is, but there are literally dozens of people who train specifically to compete regularly. It just felt like the right place to be. New Breed is by far the best competition academy in the Chicago area, if not the entire Midwest. So I'm really grateful to be with them and to be able to train with everybody who I've got there. So yeah.
Good, good. I'm glad to hear that. It's it's just like I said, it's always good, when you feel like, when you're somewhere, it feels right.
Yeah.
And it's just, you know, you should never feel like, you know, it should never feel like a burden going in, especially something that, so many of us love.
Hmm.
And and that's not to say at the last gym it felt like a burden. No, but, again, it sounds like here you just feel like they're, it's like, I guess, like you said, it's home.
Yeah.
There's just things there that feels, comfortable, and you can't really, you can't force that anywhere else.
No, you can't. You can't. And it's an important life lesson too. Jiu-jitsu teaches us a lot of life lessons. And one of the big ones for me was like when it's time to let go, like when it's time to let go and move on. And sometimes, especially for somebody like me, I'm stubborn as fuck, like with everything. But like, just when you're clinging on to something and it's just like it's not there for you anymore, you just gotta take that leap of faith and you gotta do what you feel like is best for you and your journey and what you're doing. And so I really feel like I made the right choice with that, and I couldn't be happier. So yeah.
Good, good. I could imagine, for many, it's just being scared, like you said, taking that leap of faith,
Yeah.
and it's like, like, am I doing the right thing?
Yeah.
Like, even just signing up for jiu-jitsu was kind of one of those things for me, because it was like, all right, I'm about to do something new, and it's a big thing. This isn't just some, like, let me go over here and try horseshoes, you
Yeah.
know, like this is a commitment, and those types of things are scary. So
Yeah.
kudos to you for doing it.
Yeah. I mean, it definitely was scary. And I think like for me, like the biggest thing was like, am I burning bridges, by like leaving? But
Mm,
if there's any message I can send, it's just if you feel like you should be somewhere else, you need to go do that for yourself. Don't worry about what anybody thinks. Don't worry about what anybody says, because all that is completely irrelevant, and the only thing you're going to do is hold yourself back. And, sometimes it's not the right choice. I mean, I know plenty of people who like left a gym and then they end up going back to it, and that's perfectly fine too. Like, nobody really gives a shit. Like, they really don't. I mean, yeah, they're going to miss you, but it's not the end of the world, and sometimes it can feel that way, but it's not. It's not. Life goes on. The world keeps spinning, and you keep training, and you stick with it, and you'll be happy. So
absolutely. It's we've had well, I've seen a couple teammates. Like one day I see someone, and then I see, a week later on their Instagram, they're at a different gym, and I'm like, yo, what's that all about? Like, how you just gonna leave it? Oh, and sometimes I know for me, when I was looking to change gyms, it was really a matter of scheduling, because it's
yeah,
like I can't get into any of the specific classes, because of my schedule and my wife's schedule. And then it was like, you know what? Let me make the best of what I've got. Whatever I
yeah,
can do, I'll figure it out. And I changed jobs and ended up getting my weekends back. So I was like, okay, well, I can come in on Saturdays and train. I can kind of do like Friday evening if my wife isn't working, and then like Sunday mornings. So it's like I can't do the Monday through Thursday evening stuff anymore, just because with me changing jobs, I go in earlier, which means my wife has to change her schedule, so she has to
Mm,
leave earlier in the evening. It's a whole thing. But
yeah.
I'm glad I actually didn't leave because like for me, it was just I think I started making it something that it wasn't. It was really just a schedule. But I kept telling myself, I was like, I'm not welcome here. I don't feel safe, not safe, but I don't feel comfortable here.
Mm,
I don't feel like I belong. And then it turns out I was like, no, it's just like you like this is your tribe.
yeah.
These are your people. It's just in my mind, I'm telling myself these things because I'm trying to justify trying to leave for a different gym. I was like, oh, wait a minute. No, it was just my schedule. And now that my schedule's been adjusted, I actually you know, feel okay. So as for those
Yeah.
other folks that left, it's like, yo, what's up? Come
Yeah.
talk to me.
Well, I think it's important too, like, because when I left, I had a lot of people reach out to me, like, oh, what's going on? They want the tea or whatever. And I'm just like, you know what, just because something's not right for me not right for me doesn't mean it's not right for y'all. And a lot of people do get to a point in their jujitsu journey, and I think might be why a lot of people do end up just quitting is because they kind of feel like they're something's going on with them, like it's like the environment's changed, or they're just not feeling the same way that they used to. And I don't think that necessarily has anything to do with maybe where you're at. Of course it can, but I feel like it might be a little bit more of like an internal struggle with you and your own personal journey with it, and overcoming that and deciding like in a very logical way what factors play into what's making you feel that way, and actually looking at it pretty objectively. You can then decide, is this somewhere I want to stay? Do I need to go somewhere else? Do I just try somewhere else? You can cross train quietly, like you don't have to like broadcast it or anything like that, but just, you'll when you're home. So
Yeah,
I think that a lot of people don't like credit themselves enough with how they're feeling, with their intuition with things. And it's not even necessarily about what you might think it is right off the top of your head. So
actually, that is an interesting thing you kind of mentioned there. With people quitting, you know, it's sometimes maybe it's just a matter of taking a step back.
mhm.
And just reassessing, not even just leaving outright. It's like, in a relationship, like, oh, maybe we should take a break. Um, things like that.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, looking at like what factors are actually playing into the way that you feel versus, just being like, oh, it's not right. This isn't right for me. Yeah, that doesn't mean you need to throw the whole thing out the window. It just means that you might need to reassess some of the,
yeah,
the factors that are part of your journey. So,
very true. Like, I think about, some of the stuff my teammates are doing, and just their games versus my game. Is like, look, man, and there are guys there that are older than me training that are kicking ass with the awesome curriculum that we have, and then it comes to me, I'm like, hey, so I'm gonna go ahead and work this half guard stuff and some pressure passing because the other stuff's not exactly working for me. But that's sometimes you kind of get into those weird spots where it's like you might be working on something specific at that gym, and you're like, well, you're trying to fit a square peg into a a triangle slot, and it's like, well, why don't you make an adjustment? It's not like you know
mhm.
you're like my coach, he's very clear about it. It's like, look, we're working on this here in class. We have open mats, we have other classes where the curriculum's all kind of it's all kind of interwoven together. But like, inverting is not my cup of tea. My coach and I were joking about it because whenever I invert, somehow I end up posting off my head, and
Jeez.
and they
Well,
look at me
no.
every time. I was like, that looks horrible. I don't know how you're doing it, but you're making it work. But that's not good in the long run for your neck. And I was like, I know it isn't, but I'm not sure why my body is doing it this way. And but they're like, look, there's still ways around it. And I think that's important too, is when you have a coach that says, we can still work with this versus like, no, you must do it this way. And it's like,
Yeah, no.
I can't.
Yeah. And obviously, that's like part of, the journey for everyone figuring out like what their actual game is. But I think one of like the best things that happened to me when I switched gyms was like my coach was like, your guard fucking sucks. You have no guard game. It sucks. You have to have a guard. And I was like, fuck, because I'm a big strong girl. I want to wrestle. I want to be on top and I want to
Yeah.
stay on top, which is still obviously like the best thing to do. But I started playing guard, and that was definitely a product of the knee injury too, because I'm not fixing to try to like do level changes and stuff, and I can barely bend my knee, but it was great because I did start playing guard, and I mean now as a blue belt, I'm jumping guard. Sorry in advance, everyone, for that. But like,
Oh,
I do the
yeah.
gymnastics stuff. I do pole. I do aerial. Like, when I was like, wait, I can do these things flying. Yeah, I want to do that. So I
Yeah.
did. And even though, yeah, like pulling, like actual pulling guard, like I'm definitely still working on that. But like being able to know that like I can put myself on bottom and still end up getting back on top, that's cool. I'll do that too. That's fine.
I, on Instagram, especially whenever we put up memes about pulling guard and whatnot, it's funny because my gym, that's what we pull and then we work from there. And
Hmm.
meanwhile, I'm over here posting memes like, don't be a guard puller, pussy. Like, get that
Jimmy
fucking
Garvey's
takedown.
pussy. Yeah.
And then I
butt,
go right
butt
to
scooter.
class. I'm like, okay, so I get the lapel, I get the sleeve, put my foot in the hip, and I'm the worst guard puller in our gym. I promise you. I, Everyone does it so graceful. They're smooth. They hit the mat fine. I hit the mat, and you hear this thud, and people look over like, "Yo, did he just die?" It's like, nope, just pulling guard. It's
Nope, just
okay.
this is normal. Yeah, I mean, but there's just something so powerful about like doing a takedown or like trying
Mhm.
and being able to do that. I mean, my former coach, like he was a wrestler, and so like it was always just like, nah, just it's like do a takedown, do takedowns. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna do takedowns, and I love doing takedowns. But there's obviously you can't just sit there and like try to take each other, and that ends up happening, and it drives me absolutely
Mhm.
batshit crazy. And like we're just standing the whole time, like everyone's getting penalty, penalty, penalty. It's just like, okay, I need to pull guard now. Like I'm not gonna do that anymore. Like if I can't take you down within the first minute, like it's time to move on to something else. Let's go ahead and keep doing jujitsu instead of dancing the whole time. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's, sometimes I think about it when it comes to like, okay, well, get that takedown. And it's like, is it, well, are you scared of your own guard though? Or do you have no guard? Because that's the whole thing is like pull guard and then, work a sweep, or get a submission,
Mm-hmm.
whatever it takes to get on top. And, you have guys that are like, no, I don't pull guard. It's like maybe you don't because you don't have a guard, but there
Mm-hmm.
is a power to that takedown though. Because first off, you get to
Yeah.
take down a competition, 2 points, so
Yep.
that's the solid thing there. But also, there's something demotivating to getting taken down. A
Mm-hmm.
good fucking blast double, and you hit that mat, and you're like, oh my god, I'm down two. This dude just put me through the mat.
Yeah.
Here I am now. I'm not a real athlete. I'm worried. Is my hair okay?
Is my hair
Did my
okay?
lashes come off?
Yes.
Is
Hi. Hi. I feel like that was a dig. My little John Lee buns. Yeah, you want to joke about seeing red? Touch my hair. See what happens.
oh, dude, my daughter it's funny because like like she's like, don't touch my hair, and I was like, yo, where's this coming from? Like where'd you learn that? Like, like the other, she's like, I don't want to get my hair wet. I was like, what the fuck? Where, like, what? Like,
You
you
made
wow,
that.
kid. Yeah, I'm like, oh my god, you're my kid. Like, I
Yeah,
made this.
I made that. I made that. That's mine. That's so funny. But yeah, no, I
Oh,
mean, there's something awesome about doing a takedown. But when I first was signed up as as a blue belt. The first one that I signed up for was Chicago Spring Open, and unfortunately, due to my chronic health issues, I was having problems with my heart, and so I couldn't actually compete at that one. So
Mm.
when Chicago Summer rolled around, that was when I got to fight for the first time as a blue belt, and that was awesome. We definitely danced trying to do takedowns for the whole basically thing, and I ended up ultimately jumping guard, which I had never done. I think I had seen it maybe twice in a video, but there was something that was just like, oh yeah, no, I can do this, and it was fun. It was really fun. Like I don't want to wreck somebody's knees because I mean, there's something a little scary about 175 pounds of woman like leaping into the air and leaping on top of her. But it felt great. I still ended up losing the match. But it was a lesson. If you're gonna do that, do it earlier in the match. That way, you at least give yourself some time to actually try to work something after that. But
Sure.
it's just that's the whole thing about jiu-jitsu is like you train, you compete, you learn regardless of whether or not you win or lose, and you work on things, and then you keep going for it. So the next one I did after that was Master Worlds, and that was freaking amazing. That was, I think, my favorite match that I've had so far, just because at white belt you're just so, it's just fast and everybody's spazzy, and
Hmm.
it's like you can't really even do anything, like I almost feel like. And then for blue belt you have a whole lot more up your sleeve, and you can work different moves, different positions and stuff like that. And so it was like a fantastic 100% roll with this girl. And you know also learned a lesson, what a knee reap is and how not
Hmm.
to do it. So, but it was a shitty way to lose match, to get DQ'd by that. And like she even told me the same thing. She was like, "That sucks for both of us." And I was like, "Yeah, yeah, it kind of does." But the fact that for whatever it was, 3.5, 4 minutes, that we were really just like working through different positions, it felt great to actually be able to execute that in like a way that felt more uh kind of like not planned, but planned, instead of just spazzing out, being like, I don't know what I'm doing as a white belt, I'm just gonna like reach for your arms and your neck and stuff. It was like, okay, I know how to do a sweep, I know how to do the stuff, and like working through it, it felt great. So I ended up just getting my little, whatever it was, like satisfactory medal, my third place bronze. But you know I showed up, I did the thing, and it
Yeah.
was great. It was a wonderful experience. So yeah, yep.
Good.
On to the next. So
Yeah. And that's kind of how you have to look at it. It's like, all right, I learned something there. Let's go to the next one. You have
mm-hmm.
something now in your arsenal, as far as your education, and all right, what to do, what not to do. My One of my teammates, he says this all the time, and it's funny, especially being an older guy, at his rank. He was like, "Look, I hate the close guard, but I've discovered, like, I don't do close guard in class, but in competition as an older guy, close guard and just spam submissions. You know,
Mm-hmm.
like, they're gonna get called for stalling, and it's like, oh my god, that's holy shit. Because I realized he was doing it to me one day. They were sitting there, I was in
Oh.
his guard, and he's just like going for everything. I was like, dude, like it was kind of like half hearted. So, and granted, it is practice, but still, was like
Yeah.
half hearted, like, okay, just getting you to react type deal. I was like,
Yeah.
okay, if just for competition, though, he's throwing things at me, forcing me to think, forcing me to react. It's like, okay, I guess I get what you're saying, um, but you know, whatever it may be, when you're out there, like you say, you picked up, a lesson.
Mm-hmm.
And the problem is, or not the problem, but like, the important thing is, you know now that you've learned that lesson, you don't go out there and repeat the same mistake and learn that lesson again. It's like, fuck, I guess I didn't really learn,
Yeah.
because I do that.
Yeah. Yeah. So, but I mean, it's all part of the journey, all part of the learning process, figuring out what it is you want to do, and then working on that and picking up new stuff as you keep going. Like it's just a never ending learning experience, and I'm obsessed with learning new things, and so that's probably why I just love jujitsu so much. Is there's you can do it your entire life and still not know everything that there is to know, and that is
True.
so cool to me. Yeah. So.
Yeah. And even when you get to a point where you feel like you know a whole lot, the game changes so much. There's
Hmm.
so much to learn after the fact. So
Yeah.
it, it's so cool.
Yeah, and it's not even necessarily just like about the game itself. I mean, you're learning new things about yourself the entire time that you're
Hmm.
doing it too. I mean, obviously in 2022, as a white belt, I was traveling, competing, and doing that as much as I possibly could. And last year didn't do it nearly as much. Was dealing with a lot of personal stuff, a lot of mental things, emotional things, and um, all of that stuff really affects me physically, and vice versa. The stuff I deal with my illness affects me emotionally as well, and it was a lot to carry, and so I didn't compete nearly as much as I wanted to. I was dealing with life stuff, but that's just how it is, and so I definitely enjoyed competing. My first full year competing as a blue belt was amazing. But after Master Worlds, I was like, all right, that's it. I think I'm done for the year. And then, somebody was like, oh, you should do Nogi Worlds. And I was like, I have literally never competed in Nogi, not once ever. I don't even really train it that much. I mean, not because I don't want to, but just because I love the gi so much, and there's only so much time and recovery that I have to do because I'm chronically ill. But I decided that I was going to do Nogi Worlds and signed up for it, and it was a little nuts what I ended up having to do. I ended up cutting 24 pounds in 5 weeks, which I don't
Yeah.
suggest to anybody. Please, nobody send this to my doctor. You're gonna get real mad at me for doing that. But and just the physical effects of trying to do that and just pushing myself to the absolute limit. I mean, I started having some issues with my heart, and so I had to like pull back a little bit. And I was like, okay, am I even gonna make weight? Am I gonna do this, and the other? And it's just, for me, obviously, like dealing with the health stuff, it's not something that I want to toy with, but at the same time, it's definitely something that I still look at as a challenge because, this illness hasn't killed me yet. And so I'm like, let me see like what I am capable of. And that's, kind of what a lot of this stuff is about for me because I could very easily just, hang it all up and be like, nope, I'm sick. Nope, I can't recover. Nope, I can't do this, that, or the other. I'm dealing with all these other things. But instead, like I'm just so driven to just keep doing it regardless of how I feel because, well, up to a certain point, of course, to try
Sure.
to take care of myself. But I tell everybody all the time, they're like, oh, listen to your body, listen to your body. And I was like, you guys, if I listened to my body, I would be bedridden. That is how bad it is on a daily basis. And so if I just listen to my body, like I can't do that. I have to keep going. And so it's a constant thing of me pushing myself and challenging myself to just do more with the sport and see like, what I can do with it and what I'm capable of doing. And so I'll keep doing it. Like I'll keep signing up for competitions even if I'm not feeling my best. And I know a lot of people are like, oh well, if I'm not feeling my best, I'm not going to fight. And that's totally fine. That is, you have to do what's right for you. But I just know that if I waited until I felt good, I wouldn't end up doing jujitsu anymore. And I can't do that to myself. I just have to keep going. So.
Yeah, there is, a fine line to that. It's like you said, everyone's different. You got to do what's right for you. But so many of us, just in jiu-jitsu alone, just counting jiu-jitsu itself, are out there with injuries and
Hmm.
and whatever's going on. Now you factor in yourself, with a chronic illness and also jiu-jitsu injuries. Like you're never
Hmm.
going to be 100%. you know Hell, like if you're 80%, I'm sure that's a fucking good day for you. So it's like,
Yeah.
you do what you can do with what you have. So
Yep. I do the best I can with what I have to work with. And if that means going into a competition, having only trained a couple times in the past few weeks, that's just, that's just what I have to do in order to keep going. I always, put forth my best effort, and I will continue to do so. I'm going to continue to show up. I'm going to continue to push myself. I'm going to, continue to compete and fight against, having all of these cards stacked against me. And at the end of the day, I've never regretted it, not once ever. Like even with the injury and stuff like that, I look at it and I'm like, no, I don't regret the choices that I've made, because every little piece of this just aids in my growth. And that's just what we always got to keep doing, a little bit better every day.
Yeah, yeah.
That's all we can hope for. So, yeah.
Yep. 1% better each day.
Yep.
That's
Yep.
it.
That's the
Uh,
idea. So,
as far as health and everything goes, it always feels silly asking the question because it's like, well, I mean, it's kind of like, duh, I'm not fucking great. But, how are you feeling, these days, just kind of as overall?
yeah, I mean, I'm definitely in a better place now than I was, earlier in the year, and then even like over the summer and stuff like that. Physically, not I wouldn't necessarily say that it's better, but definitely emotionally, you have to go through the downs in order to enjoy the ups, and it was
Sure.
definitely a pretty down year for that. And I'm kind of trying to adopt a better mentality of being like, if I focus on my mental health, on my emotional health, and making sure that that's taken care of, then I have a better capacity to deal with the physical ailments that I have. So, unfortunately, I just um, had to switch up some of my meds. And it was just last week, I think. Yeah. And so, had to kind of alert everybody I trained with, like, hey, I'm going to be pretty sick here coming up for, probably a few months, while I'm trying to adjust to this and recover from some of these things. But not looking for sympathy or anything like that, but just literally being like, hey, if you see me not looking so great, you kind of already know what's going on. The nausea has been pretty unbearable, and it's hard too, because like when you're dealing with all these physical things, to then, because it affects my recovery, it affects my ability to eat, it affects everything, which then affects my inflammation. And it's like a big snowball cycle. And, so I'm constantly learning how to balance all of these things. But that's just life. I mean, everybody has their own struggles that they deal with. And for me, unfortunately, most of it is just my physical illness. Um, which, at this point, I'm kind of like, chronic Lyme disease is something you're probably going to deal with the rest of your life. But like, obviously I'm doing better than 99.9% of the population. I mean, I'm an active jiu-jitsu athlete. And I couldn't walk, what was that, like 2.5 years ago? I couldn't walk. I was in a wheelchair. So, I'm obviously doing significantly better than I was, but at the same time, I still have a lot to go. And sometimes I wonder, I'm like, do I still have like, issues like with Lyme specifically, or is this just damage that was done, over all those years from being misdiagnosed? But, you know, and I think that for me is like more of a mental roadblock, because I'm like, if I'm still battling this, I can still heal from it. I can still, there's still progress to be made. But like when you get to a certain point with it, you kind of feel like you've plateaued. Here we are, jujitsu paralleling all of this again. But like, you're like, I've plateaued, I'm stuck in this place. Is it going to get better? Does it get better? And the reality of it is, it always gets at least a little bit better. I mean, you're going to look at it. I'm going to look at this, 10, 20, 30 years down the road and be like, oh yeah, oh gosh, that was great. That was totally fine. You can see all the dots put together. But, when you're in the throes of it, it's really kind of hard to balance everything. And so, like I said, like this last year was definitely a huge challenge for me. And, I still show up with a smile on my face every single day. Nobody really knows, the battles that everyone has privately. And I do try to, advocate and talk about, my illness and like my struggles with the mental side of things and everything, because I think that not enough people talk about that, but everybody's dealing with their own stuff, and so you've got to get through it in your own way. And for me, you know, taking some necessary breaks, I did that, and then I just keep moving forward with it. And so I fully intend on doing that this year. You know, towards the end of last year, I was like, I want to replay 2022 for myself, because as shitty as I felt physically, I was like, this is go time. Like you just came back from the dead, keep going, like push yourself and travel and compete and do this thing that you've fallen in love with, and just keep chasing that dream. And so this year, uh, I'm ready to pick right back up where I left off with that. So I'm going to be competing every 2 weeks, hopefully. So right now I'm signed up for Austin. So I'll be fighting in Austin here next weekend. And then 2 weeks after that, Atlanta. 2 weeks after that, I'll be in Memphis. 2 weeks after that, I'll be in Dallas. And 2 weeks after that, I'll be at Pans. So, and hopefully I can continue that momentum throughout the year and not end up with an injury in September. To stall everything. But it's I'm just trying to get back to being me, and doing this thing that I love. So regardless of how I feel physically. So
Dude, like I love your attitude. Just like the energy that you have. It's super motivating and just 1,000% positive. And the thing is, there's so many people, in a similar situation that, just kind of give in to defeat.
hmm
And, I just love the fact that you're like, 2.5 years ago, you were in a wheelchair, you couldn't walk. And now you're fucking like super athlete. You're out there, fighting people, fighting other humans, and
hmm
just, despite the obstacles, you're still like, look, you know, I got to get to this. I love this. I want to keep doing this. Like I've been telling my daughter lately with things. She's 7, so she has these ideas, things that she wants to do. As she's getting older. I always tell her, like, well, look, this is what you want to do. Let's find out what it takes to do it. And that's what I see with your attitude. It's like, look, I love doing this. What is it going to take for me to do this? And that's just fucking awesome.
Yeah.
And
And I feel like at every corner I keep running with it too, because like if you had asked me like at literally any other point in my life that if I would have been a jiu-jitsu athlete, I probably would have laughed at you. I would have been like, "What? Me an athlete? No, I'm a band nerd. I play saxophone. Like I don't know what are you talking about." But it's the training, the competing, and then following like just where this has all taken me. I got certified to become a self-defense instructor over the summer. I'm working with Mean Girl Project, with Hero Self Defense and Warrior Forge Project. I've taught a few seminars already, and I'm teaching private classes and stuff like that. And so it's like this thing that I thought like I had no idea when I started what this would become for me, and this has become my entire life. But it's anybody would tell you, be like, they might be a little surprised, like, oh, you're a jiu-jitsu athlete, but then be like, oh, nah, that definitely makes sense. Like, Tracy's done all sorts of different crazy shit. I mean, Tracy was a rancher. Tracy was a hairdresser. Tracy does jiu-jitsu. Tracy's a pole dancer, like, and everything in between. And so, like, it's like everywhere I turn with this, jiu-jitsu is like opening more doors for me to just explore who I am and where I want to go with my life. And I'm really, really grateful for all of the opportunities because of that. So yeah.
good, good. Like, just as a friend in all of this, I'm super invested in, just watching your journey as you continue to grow as a martial artist and as a person. This is super awesome. And thank you for, opening up and sharing that with myself and everyone who's listening. Uh,
Yeah,
we just
absolutely.
appreciate that.
Yeah, I mean, I I've grown a lot in the past, year and a half. Or well, gosh, it's been 2 years now since I started jujitsu. That is wild. 2 years. I've grown so much. I mean, I was quiet. Like I'm still introverted as fuck. Like let's not get that confused. But at the same time, like uh, I've come out of my shell and accepted the fact that my journey is an inspiration to other people. And even though I don't see myself as any kind of special, other people look at this and they hear what I'm saying and they look at what I've been through, what I go through just on the daily, and they enjoy following me because of that stuff, and I inspire them and motivate them, and I hope to continue to do that because it's not something that's intentional that I'm doing. It's just who I am, and I'm really grateful that just being me does that for other people. So because then it doesn't take any effort. I'm just like, hey, this is me, this is my story, this is what I'm doing, and the fact that it gets people up and gets them going sometimes, like they're hearing something that they need to hear, seeing something that they need to see, and just me being a catalyst for change in other people's lives is just, I mean, I couldn't, I don't know, I think I'm blushing a little bit. It's like, it's a cool thing when I get feedback like that. It's as shy as I am about it, still it matters so much to me. Like having a little bit of an impact on anybody, even if it's just one person, that's good. That's great. I'll keep going so that you guys can keep going too.
Well, like you said, even if it's just one person, it matters because that one person, you know, it means the world to them. They're following you. So, you keep it up and, we're going to, keep tabs and keep watching. So we appreciate you.
Mhm.
Um,
I appreciate you too,
and
and all the meme sharing, and the friendship that we have outside of just talking on the podcast once every year and a half. Like, yeah, every single day. It's like, I love waking up and I'm like, oh shit, like whose DMs do I answer first? Because like it's like you and like Zach and then like and then like Steph, like y'all three, like it says 4 plus every single time. I'm just like, oh shit, I gotta like sit down and like watch all these reels, read all these memes, and it's just the highlight of my day.
yeah, I actually started toning down a little bit because I was like, dude, like, I think there was one point, like, I just flooded you one day with memes. And I was like, okay, relax, dude.
No,
But it's like,
no,
I get
don't.
excited though. I'm like, oh, someone take these.
Yeah, literally, no, don't chill. No, zero chill for me. Okay, please, like, send me all the things. Like, and if anybody out there listening too, send me some memes. I love it. I love it. It keeps me out of the outside world, which I don't like going
Same,
into. So,
same here.
mhm,
It's like, well, a lot of the memes too, because of like I'll share on my other platform, Colompton Beer Club.
mhm.
I'll share them there. I'm like, ooh, this is good. I got to share this there because over there it's 10,000% fuckery. It like I don't even know what that page is supposed to be about. We review beers on the podcast, but most of the posts I put up are like fucked up injuries or sports things.
Yeah, it's
Sometimes
like
I might put up
NFL
something about
memes.
beer. Yeah,
Yeah,
but like everything is like I'm sure people are like, what the fuck is this page? Because it was supposed to be the Colompton Social Club initially, because that's all the shit that I post is kind of like, look, it's just us being silly and
yeah,
socializing. And my co-host was like, let's call it Beer Club, and I was like, that's fucking dumb. But all right, whatever. Like, well, let's keep the Colompton part. Can we keep that? He was like, his girlfriend. She was like, well, why don't you make it the Colompton Beer and Social Club? And I was like, I'm okay with that too. And he was like, it sounds too long. I was like, all right, well, look, you go ahead and call it Beer Club, but I'm going to keep posting these memes. You're not stopping me.
and we love you for it. We do. If anybody gives you negative feedback, then you don't need them in your life.
Yeah, whenever I get negative feedback, oh my god, on BJJ Wiki the other day, I don't remember what someone wrote something. It was not that bad, and I was like, you know what, block.
Block.
Like, I think I was having a rough day. I was probably hungry. It was just like
A little
someone
hangry.
said
Yeah,
something.
yeah, you gotta like don't get caught on a fuck around and find out kind of day because like I will engage you. Like I will and I will
Yeah.
hurt your feelings. So
Yeah. Some dude commented on the Compton page one day. I don't remember what the post was. And oh, well, yeah, it doesn't matter what the post was. I have all my accounts set where you have to follow me in order to comment. It keeps spam
oh,
bots
there you go.
away. Trolls tend to not want to engage. Some will. Like BJJ Wiki gets a lot of trolls, and I fuck with them. I'm like, all right, like I'll block you immediately. You know, just dumb shit. But on Compton, whatever the post was, somebody commented or somebody sent me a DM and says, um, they called me a cunt. And I replied back. I just happened to be on in that moment as the message came through. And I replied back with just a simple shut up. And they go, oh, that was a quick response. I was like, I just happened to be on when you sent it. And we had a good back and forth about it. He was like, oh, well, why do you have your post limit? I was like, they're not limited. You just have to follow me in order to leave a comment. And what I just explained there is what I explained to him. I was like, it keeps away the spam bots, it keeps away trolls. It also helps build my followers because sometimes I post shit that people want to comment about, so they're gonna follow and they forget to unfollow. So, I got a little bit of a falsification there going on with my follows. It's all right. Work smarter, not harder. And he was like, oh, yeah, cool, dude. That's a good idea. And, we had this good back and forth. He still didn't give me the follow, and he still ended by calling me a cunt. So I was like, oh, well, at least, at least we understand each other now. You're a piece of shit. And
like, yeah, what a fantastic conversation we just had. By the way, see you later. You're still a fucking cunt.
Yeah. Honestly, I appreciate that, though, at the end, because it's like, okay, I still feel like you're a cunt. And I was like, okay, well, I mean, at least now you confirm that I'm a cunt versus just calling me one. And, I'm probably a really nice guy. I am a nice guy. But in that moment, he confirmed, look, this guy is kind of a cunt. And I was like, okay, well, that's how you feel. That's how you feel. That, no problem. But, you can't say that I ignored you. Well, a lot of folks I will ignore just because BJJ Wiki, I do get a lot of comments. I want to say like a whole lot of comments, but I get more comments than I really want to see sometimes. And if I open up and I see more than 20 comments on any given, thing, I'm not looking. I'm just going to go ahead and move on with my day. If it's like, oh, you've got 10 comments, I'll take a look. At over 10, I'm just like, nah, because more often than not, it's people complaining. Someone's upset about some post I put up, whether it be, mental health awareness or whether it be just, trying to, be positive. Someone's going to have something to say. So it's like, you know what? I'm not here for that. Or if I post up a move, a technique video and people want to, like, well, that's not going to work. And it's like, God. I guess maybe.
Yeah.
So fuck them. But Tracy, this has been great. These things are like phone calls to me. These are telephone calls right here.
Yeah.
So thank you for doing this. Thank you for making the time.
Yeah, no, thank you. I mean, this has been a long time in the making, but it's like everywhere I turned last year, it was just like, oh, there's more shit. Oh, look, more shit. Oh, more shit. Yeah, when is it gonna end? No, here's some more. And I'm like, okay, that's great. But I'm really glad we did this, and it's so nice to catch up with you again outside of just our meme sharing, and getting to share a little bit of my perspective from my own personal journey with all of your followers and everything. And hopefully we can do this again sooner rather than later. Let's not wait another year and a half.
I'm working on your time, so whenever you're ready, you let me know. You shoot me the text.
Shots fired.
You shoot me the text and say, hey, are you ready to record? I'm going to say, well, when you looking, because I'll make the time. I think this was a quick turnaround. You messaged me, was like, hey, what's up? And I was like, what time you got? He was like, all right, let's go tomorrow.
Yeah. How's tomorrow? Like, I'm free tomorrow. And you're like, oh shit, right. I better make this happen or we're never gonna talk about it again.
Yeah, I was like, yeah, let's do the shit now because I'm in a groove right now. I've been recording a lot this week, so I was like, let's just do it. Fuck it, because the momentum's there. So
Very
Like I said, you tell me when you're ready, and I will always make the time.
awesome, awesome. So
All
yeah.
right. Before we get out of here, any shout outs or mentions that you want to drop for us?
Yeah, absolutely. First one, not, the happiest thing to say, but I think it's important to. Today is the 16th anniversary of my best friend's suicide. And so I just want to put it out there that if you or someone you know is struggling with their mental health, just know that you can get help. You can dial 988 on your phone. You can text 988 on your phone, and get some, crisis intervention, a little bit of help because you don't have to end your life. You just want the feelings that are uncomfortable to stop. So please, if you're feeling that way, please get help. Please reach out and do that. So and just a little prayer to my friend Rochelle, who's up in heaven looking down on me doing this. Grateful for you and the impact you had on my life, and I love you, miss you every single day. So, and then there are a couple people that I do want to thank. Todd over at Sphere Kimonos, thank you very much for believing in me and offering me the generous apparel sponsorship that I got this past year. Looking forward to representing you continuously throughout my competition season this year. Julio over at Monkey Tape for sponsoring me and making sure that my lime riddled fingers stay as intact as humanly possible. Which is definitely always a struggle. I go through a lot of tape. The entire team over at Key Nutrients for sponsoring me with their calorie-free electrolyte supplements. Keeps me going during all my hard training sessions and my insane weight cuts that I sometimes do. Oops. The doctors and the staff over at Camelback Medical Centers for helping keep me healthy, also putting me back together every time the sport breaks some piece of me. My lifting coaches, Jeffrey and Matthew, thank you so much for pushing me to keep up my strength so that I can keep doing the sport that I love. And of course, my coach, Mark Vivas, and all of my teammates, friends, and training partners over at New Breed Training Center. I would not be where I am today without all of you. So thank you.
Awesome. I'll be sure to put some links in the notes and get those infos from you shortly.
Mhm.
And make sure people know where to find you and also your sponsors.
Yeah, I have my new Instagram handle this year as well. I switched it up. So I am now pole.jitsu. That's me. So, yep, the pole dancing
Gotcha.
jiu-jitsu athlete.
I'll make sure to note it. And as always, everyone who's listening, thank you very much. I do appreciate the hell out of everyone here. Made it to 2024 with me, and I'm excited. We're fast approaching 200. So that is some shit I didn't think was going to happen. So thank you. If you got any questions, concerns, criticisms, feel free to reach out to me. You can find me at bjj.wiki on Instagram or Off the Mats Podcast on Instagram. Those are the main two. Really, BJJ Wiki is where I'm at mostly. I barely post on Off the Mats anymore, which is kind of fucking shitty. It's my fucking podcast Instagram. My bad, y'all. I'm going to get back to it. But y'all can reach me at those spots. I want to give a big shout out to my crew over there at Nerd Rage Radio. Bobby, Chris, Joe, Marilyn, Phil, Ricky, Ticky, all you guys. I need to just write your fucking everyone's name here on the table. So that way I can properly shout everybody out over there at Nerd Rage Radio. If it wasn't for them, I wouldn't be doing podcasts. So I do appreciate the hell out of, out of that team. I just recently had Joe on here. I need to get Bobby on here. I want to maybe do a music episode with him, have some fun with that. But thank you to Nerd Rage Radio. Just, always making it fun. Also want to shout out my other podcast, So You Like Horror. If you like scary movies, go check it out. This year, we're going to be doing cursed films and talk about movies that have some funky situations going on behind the scenes where people think shit's cursed. Maybe it's just bad directors. Looking at you, John Landis, Twilight Zone, the movie. And also, we just recently wrapped up the Nightmare on Elm Street episode. A guest from here, kind of worked on it, but you all will see that soon. And, we'll do some links sharing and whatnot, but, be sure to go check that episode out. It's going to be a lot of fun, as we talk about Freddy Krueger and all that shit that went on with that and making it happen. And yeah, But you can go check that podcast out anywhere that you find your podcast, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. I think that's the thing. Maybe it's iTunes. I don't fucking know what they call that anymore. Um, I think Google got podcasts is gone. So where have people listen to podcasts? I think I'm on YouTube also. I don't know. I don't know these things. But go check it out. You can also find it on Instagram. So you like horror. All the words are separated by underscores, or I think it's linked to my link tree as well. So go check that out. And last but not least, I want to thank my guest here, Miss Tracy. Thank you for doing this. Thank you for sharing an update on what's going on with you on the mats and just life in general. We appreciate you. And before we get out of here, I just want to remind you all, I love you. I don't use that word lightly. I don't use it very often. Other than on here, I say love a lot on here. But thank you. I just appreciate the hell out of everybody. And you guys make this shit rad for me. So you guys keep listening, and I'm gonna definitely keep making these shows. Thank you so much, everyone, and goodbye.
Deep with it. Now let me sing a song.